Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panel discussion. Our panel discussions are based on research based surveys. This is episode 25. We are running MUN series. I'm your host, Aarti Bagde Gill. I'm CPSC resource person and SDG4 AIF Global Ambassador. Today, we have respected panelists on our board. Let's welcome them all. Dr. Sonia, welcome to this session, ma'am. Miss Roja, welcome to this session, ma'am. And Miss Divya, welcome to this session, ma'am. So today's topic of discussion, of course, we are in MUN series. We are talking about Model United Nations, and we had already covered 3 episodes on this topic. You can check out our previous sessions and you can have an understanding related to Model United Nations. Today, under the bracket of the same, we are talking about child labor. And for this, I want to start this session with this pie graph where you can have an understanding that in our country, respectively, how much child labor is there in respected areas of concern. As you can see, for picking up the bottles and garbage, this big number of child labor is involved in our country. So it's a big concern. If I go for shoe polishing, 20%. If I go for car washing, 12%. Cleaning, dishwashing, and of course, begging. So this is a very sensitive topic of which we are going to put some important light on and taking it into consideration not only for our country, if it is prevailing worldwide, we are talking globally here. But yes, of course, we are supporting our country for SDGs 2030. So we are looking forward that no poverty and zero hunger, keeping this child labor in the bracket. So let's start our session with why this child labor is there. And for this, I'm going to invite Ma'am Divya. Ma'am Divya, please put some light on it.
Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. According to International Labour Organization, child labor is defined as work that is exploitative, interferes with the child's education, and is mentally, physically, socially, or morally harming them in some way. Today, when I was reading a newspaper, I read 6 children child laborers rescued from sari factory in Surat. 160 million children worldwide are affected with child labor. Child labor occurs when you will see that when the child is in need of money, most of the time you will see that the child labor occurs when families face financial challenges, sudden illness, or maybe a death in a family member who only is the one person who is earning bread. Child labor also leads to slavery. Child labor, you will see, I will tell you a story that yesterday I was going on a road. One boy, small, who was of 9 years old, came to me and asked some money. I asked him, "Why are you here?" He said, "I need money. I don't have money, so I can't buy food." He was just 9 years. So, a child who is below the age of 14 years and is working for money is called as a child labor. Now, there are different causes that you will see why this child labor is there. One, as I mentioned, it's the financial challenges that a person is facing. Second, it is a need of the family for money. The parents do understand that we are supposed to send them to the school, but we don't have that funds that I can send to school. Ma'am, next slide, please. You can see a child over there who is breaking the rocks in the picture. Now, the child you will see is of very less age. Why he is doing that? Helping the family to earn money. So is it good thing to go and work if they are deprived from this childhood? Is it good thing they are deprived from the education? We give our children a lot of facilities and all, but when we see such children, you will see that they are fighting everyday basic needs like clothing, food, shelter. They're struggling to have that kind of thing. You will see them in lot of industries and factories. Diwali time is coming, crackers are being made, and you will see that most of the cracker factories you will find many children working who are below 14 years or less than 10 years because they can mold with their fingers easily those crackers. So most of the industries demand such kind of child labor, and you will find them in the villages where there is need of food, shelter, or you will find them in the places where they are deprived of. So, where do you find these children from? Where do they come from? Either it is from the natural calamity that they have been impacted with. You will see that floods are there, famines are there, sometimes earthquakes are there, sometimes conflicts happen all around, and you will find them with deprived from their homes, or they will be deprived with certain things that they require, they need to support the family. Poverty. Poverty is the main reason they don't have money. There are certain laws that is being provided so that they will not work, but the family needs a hand to earn, and they ask their children to do that. It is very dangerous. It is very dangerous for their health. It is dangerous for many things. But you will see that they keep on doing it only to help their family out. They have been abused all the time. They have been prohibited at certain areas and places. But still, they have to work to earn their bread. They need to survive. If you try to make them understand that this is not the thing that you're supposed to do, or if you make them understand, you try and take efforts to put them into certain place, or you put them in certain good place, but they will not do that because their family doesn't allow them. They get more sometimes or less money, but they need to support their family. Weaving factories. Weaving factories is a place where you will see that they're weaving. Recently, you will see there was one person from one small child of 6 years was working in weaving factory to help carpentry work or the shawls that are put or carpets that are put on the floor for decorative purpose. And for that, you need small hands to weave those with the threads and all. Their hands are spoiled and everything happened, but they are needed for certain industries, like weaving is one of the things. So threads which are there, they are molding it, mending it, and they are trying to create a beautiful shawl or maybe a carpet which we put on our feet and we move ahead with that. So children are required for certain things and they are easily available in villages and the places where money is not there.
So I believe
Prevention
yes.
and
Yeah. So
yeah.
I believe, yes, there are certain causes, and of course, there are certain hidden causes as well. And I want to add on here that there is no check basically on the families. If there is no check on the families, that is the reason why this child labor is still persisting, though we are talking too much about it. Secondly, skilled wages. When I talk about skilled wages for the adults, that is different, and the skilled wages for the children who are involved in that labor leads to occupational diseases, which is a big hazard for them because they are in their supple age. Besides that, they are earning for their family basically. So the family, for the family, there's no check basically. So the government should have certain procedures to check certain families because it's a big traffic. If you are approaching any one particular family or an area, in an area where you are checking the families, it's not a small one. It's a big traffic. So we need to keep a check on a broader scale. Besides that, there is no consent even. So if you are taking any particular consent from the parent and you will be giving accordingly to the child labor, then also it is to be understandable by the family. But here, who is exploited? The child is exploited on the toughest zone, and besides that, the families, they are also getting exploited. So it is a big traffic basically of child labor, and we are, into understanding there are certain amendments too. Idea here is whether these amendments are working properly, whether they are keeping check, whether we are changing the data. If the data is not getting changed, it means there is no actually prevention and protection going on. Now, the next one is particularly this only of which I'm talking about. And for this, I'm going to invite Dr. Sonia. Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Aarti. Well, as ma'am already defined what is child labor, that is below 14 years, whatever the children are doing, that is actually not advisable by any of us. Even the society should not accept it. It is very important for us to create awareness among people that children are not to be allowed to work at such a tender age. It is actually an age where development and growth is there. They need to be groomed for a better future tomorrow. I'll give you a very small example. When my house was getting constructed, I had laborers working over there. There was a lady who had already three children, and there was a fourth one whom she had tied in the sari and she was cradling it, you know. So I asked her, I was there for the inspection for some time. I asked her, you already have three children, why did you go in for a fourth one? She said कि भाभी जितने ज्यादा बच्चे होंगे ना उतने ज्यादा हाथ कमाई के होंगे घर पे, खाना उतना ज्यादा आएगा. So I was taken aback. I said, this is not what has to be, in their mind. I told her, see, you have such small children working. They will fall sick. Don't you think your medical bills also will increase? So what is the use of having more children when you're going to spend on medicines for them instead of, they being a help to you? Instead, have two or you have three. Give them good education, quality education, give them some skill development so that they can earn better than you and they can have a better future tomorrow. She said नहीं हम school fee afford नहीं कर सकते. Then I told her about the government policies we have, like, the midday meals are given in school. I said, see, you cannot provide a proper meal to your child, I can understand. But if you're sending your child to a government school, he gets school uniform there. He gets books over there. In apart from that, he also gets a midday meal. So don't you think one nutritionist meal is very necessary for him throughout the day? Whereas you can't afford that for yourself also. Then she realized it and she said कि next year भाभी अभी जो admission का time आएगा आप बताना, I will put my children over there. So we need to create awareness. हम लोग देखकर अनदेखा कर लेते हैं बहुत बार, but we need to really work on it actually. Next slide, ma'am. Now, if we are talking about prevention and protection, there are different ways to do it. The next slide will explain. See, we have to raise awareness among children for their rights. We need to make them understand that they have some rights as children and they need to make use of it. We need to strengthen the laws and policies that are already existing. We need to make our law very strong. We need to have a firm decision making on those things. We need to support vulnerable sector of society. Society which does not have proper earnings, which does not have a backup, there are certain social obligations in the family. We need to understand those people. We need to give a helping hand to them. We need to educate them how they can make things better for themselves and their coming generations. We need to increase access of education to them. Try to give them education, try to reach them out, explain them that there are government schools which provide good funding also, and children don't have to pay anything. You don't have to bother, the government takes care of it. You send them at least up to the age of 14. They will learn something, a skill, a vocational training, because these days it is compulsory through NEP also, that we need to train the child only not with academics but also with vocational training. We need to give them some skill development as a backup plan. So, like, a carpentry work can be taught to a child, embroidery can be taught to a child. There are certain things which could be respectable jobs for the child in the future. Beautician, saloon work. So at least the child is earning a little better and more respectfully. So these things are very important. We need to promote decent work opportunities for them. We need to put them into rehabilitation centers. Children who do not have parents and they've been left out alone, they have nobody to look after. We usually find them begging outside, or picking up racks and eating from there. So their life goes on like that only. So we need to look out for rehabilitation centers. We need to look out for NGOs which can support those children and accordingly train them to have a better future, to have a safe future. As ma'am mentioned, there are lots of industries which employ these children because labor is very cheap. Nobody comes and negotiates the salary part for them. But working conditions are very hazardous. It could be a direct impact on their health. So we need to be example crackers, as ma'am said. The other industry we can talk about is bangles. और हमारे यहाँ जैसे हम मांझा बनाते हैं पतंग उड़ाने के लिए, that is also very hazardous. We find most of the children working over there also. So we need to avoid these situations where children are put to work in these. And I think we can strengthen our laws only when the government goes for inspection and audits to such industries and stop children working immediately and takes action on those people if they are employing such children over there. I think we need to be a little rude. We need to be a little disciplined if we really want to see a better society and see a better grooming of children coming in the next generations.
I said, ma'am. And I'm also in complete favor of this social, useful, productive work, that is SUPW, related to the bracket of vocational trainings, which should be given to these children. At least they can have some respectable understanding of earning from the society. Uh, Now I'm quickly moving for this elimination of child labor. Of course, we all are educators here from various backgrounds, and we are putting our SDG 4 in the center. So, for this, I'm going to invite Ma'am Rosa. Ma'am Rosa, please put some light on it.
Thank you, Aarti ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Very well said. Both the panelists actually they have thrown a beautiful light on the whole thing in such a short span of time. That what are the causes and how we can prevent, right? And like you said, Aarti ma'am, the government has been doing a lot of good work. NGOs are there, but where is the check? Government has to keep a check on these policies, whatever they are implementing. And when we talk about, listeners will agree to me, the minute we say childhood, yeah, bachpan, the picture that comes to all our mind is, a beautiful smile with a carefree life where children are playing and it's time for them to learn and grow. But unfortunately, as per UNICEF in 2024 and at the start of 2020, as per their survey, it says that approximately 160 million children worldwide, I'm talking about globally, were engaged in child labor, comprising of 63 million girls and 97 million boys. And our country also shares contributes a major number towards this, this crisis. And how do we deal with this? The first thing that actually one beautiful quote that comes to my mind by Vince Gorman, that you cannot make people learn. You cannot make people learn. You can only provide the right conditions for learning, right, to happen. And in this case, I think elimination of child labor is not only about the enforcement of laws or, but it can only be achieved when we create opportunities. And one of the most effective tools for creating alternatives to combat this child labor is skill development. This gives not only gives children the confidence in their future and assures family that education leads to real opportunities, with skill development, we are providing those opportunities to our students, right? And ma'am also mentioned about NEP, where we are talking about vocational and skill building at the age of middle school, where I mean the age of 6 to 11 years, right? Which is a beautiful initiative done by the government. But like ma'am said, children are forced to work because of the economic conditions of their family. जितने ज़्यादा हाथ होंगे उतनी ज़्यादा कमाई. Look at the mindset. So somewhere as a society we have to work on the mindset. And ma'am also said that it's we कभी कभी हम देख के अनदेखा कर देते हैं. So we as a society, what are we waiting for? That's a big question, right? When we are seeing such, in fact, all of us, I agree that rural areas, we have more of these issues, but even in urban areas, like I'm in Bangalore, and when we are going, for a drive or anything, you will see so many kids selling small, young age kids who are selling pens, or, they are on the road selling things where they are forced because of the economic conditions of the family. So the first thing that I can suggest is by training adults in trades, not just skill development for our students. The first thing is the awareness in adults. Why don't we tailor, why don't we help adults come up with some skill buildings like tailoring, carpentry, plumbing, handicrafts? We are providing opportunities for adults so that their families gain stable source of income. And when these families, they have stable income, then automatically the financial situation of the parents is secure, and the need to send children to work will reduce drastically. And also the awareness in women, uh, especially in rural families, the awareness that what happens when kids are educated, you know, that their children attend school instead of working in fields or factories or households. In fact, ma'am mentioned about the midday meals, which is a beautiful initiative where not only kids are learning, but they are getting nutritious from a nutritionist point also. So the government of India has already taken important steps in this direction. For example, to name a few, the National Skill Development Commission, NSDC, they provide training in hundreds of sectors, to create a skilled workforce for the future. There are few NGOs like Bachpan Bachao Andolan is there, and Pratham, that comes to my mind. They have played a remarkable role in rescuing children from labor and rehabilitating them through education and vocational programs. So this initiative show that when skill development is paired with awareness, so that should go hand in hand, right? Such campaigns, it will create a lasting impact, and the future that we are hoping for our country, definitely we are going to achieve, but together. It's not like only government is going to do, or we depend on NGOs and all. Schools also play an important role. We have right to education for kids. So by introducing this vocational training, financial literacy, life skills at the elementary level, where children develop an interest in studies, because in that case, what happens? The dropout rates will automatically reduce because they will learn something that they love to learn, right? And especially in rural areas, one of the another challenge that comes to my mind is shortage of schools. Or if they have schools, inadequate infrastructure or insufficient qualified teachers, which will lead, which will limit the children's education opportunities. And they start working in a very young age. It was really heartbreaking and, I can say heart bleeding situation when panelists were sharing, whether it was a bangle factory or things like that, which are really, really hazardous. What kind of world or what kind of life are we going to give to our next future? I think it's together, as a society, we have to work towards it. And skill building is the main, I can see, a tool to eradicate. We all educators also playing an important role in spreading. In fact, we all talking about this child labor and what are the causes, and prevention itself is a stepping stone I can think of to work towards that. So definitely skill training should be a part of holistic approach that includes financial empowerment and connect families with government benefits to address the root cause of child labor. Thank you so much, Aarti ma'am.
Well said, Rosa ma'am, and sharing valuable numbers, even that 160 million is a big number worldwide, and we are sharing a major out of that. So it's again a sad point. And according to this child labor, we are in continuing, will be covering trafficking. So this child labor is actually not family based, it is a part of trafficking as well, right? So those children who are not with their parents due to any circumstances, they are with a racket and they are the part of that trafficking. So in continuity to this session only, we will be having next discussion on this very important topic that is trafficking. So this is all for today. Thank you so much to all the respected panelists for sharing valuable insights and good numbers. You may share your queries at abcteaching875@gmail.com. All the important links are there in the description box. The certificate generation link will be there after the session in the description box only. Thank you so much to all the viewers who are watching. And we are believing that you are contributing to all these panel discussions by watching as well, by making some change in society. I support SDGs. Do you? Thank you so much. Bye bye and take care, everybody.